Welcome on into another edition of NASCAR Mailbox. I am Jared Haas with FrontStretch.com, and let's take a look back after your questions after the races at Sonoma Raceway. I'm going to start this mailbox looking at one of the rivalries that brewed up during the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Sonoma with Austin Hill versus Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen was the class of the field that day, was shuffled a little bit far back, out of the lead due to strategy, and Austin Hill was on that strategy. And during the late stages of the race, Shane Van Gisbergen used up Austin Hill a little bit to get by him. And if you saw their post-race comments, Shane Van Gisbergen thought it was 100% fair after what happened at Coda. Now, these two drivers have different skill sets that they're great at. You have Austin Hill has performed really well at super speedways, while Shane Van Gisbergen performs well at these road courses. There are three each of these left on the NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule. I would see that rivalry brew over at those races that both of those drivers perform well at. You know, Shane Van Gisbergen finished third at Atlanta, and Austin Hill was up there late with strategy. You know, I don't really see it brewing over a 14th, but I wouldn't be surprised Austin Hill proving me wrong in this situation. But these are two drivers that are at the top of their game in the Xfinity Series at two different subsets of tracks. So I think it's more of a Shane Van Gisbergen really more or less showed him off too during the end of the Sonoma race, doing his burnout across his track and Austin Hill flipping him off at the end of the race. And, you know, Austin Hill, he's been rough and tumble and he's been pushed around, and he doesn't like that mentality of him being pushed around because he's worked hard on getting from being in the Truck Series up to the Xfinity Series and trying to knock on a door in a Richard Childress Racing ride in the Cup Series. But like I said, I think this is going to be a rivalry that's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to provide great action on the track. But I don't think this is going to spiral out of control. I think this is going to be a good rivalry for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. This question comes from since 1961. They ask, Sonoma would have been the ideal experiment bolting on the wet weather tires for all weather racing, rain or shine. One tire is all that you need. Keep it simple, stupid. Well, unfortunately, since 1961, wet weather tires and slicks are more or less a completely different tire. One of the big differences that you have is the stagger in your slicks. Now, if you want to take a good example of what stagger does, get a can of soup and get a cup from your cabinet, what's going to turn better to the left? It's going to be your cup that you got out of the cabinet because it's staggered. There's one end that's bigger than the other, which is going to help it turn. Even though Sonoma, there are rights and lefts, there's, they're going to adjust it to the majority of the corners that are at the track. So stagger is important for those cars to go faster. And like I said, overall, these wet weather tires relatively go slower. And yes, you want the wear to go down, but you don't want it to be too extreme. I mean, Bristol, like I said, almost a sweet medium, a little bit too much, maybe tone down a little bit, but the wet weather tires are not made for that type of stuff. They're more made like with your regular driving cars on the road with those tires to handle those wet conditions and dry conditions. But, those NASCAR cars are going to abuse those tires a lot more because they're going a lot faster and driving a lot harder than what you're doing with your everyday regular car. So those tires are completely different from wet weather to slicks. So, like I said, it's preferred to have slicks on a car. That helps it with the grip and the stagger, and that they're just built differently. So it would be nice to have a all-encompassing tire that you can race whether rain or shine, but for now, Goodyear has two different tires for the two different conditions. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like and subscribe. That really helps our channel out. And until next time, as always, have a great race weekend.
Kevin Nix with FrontStretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos, and if you like us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.